Hack the Planet, my personal narrative. Starring me as Rebecca Steam, the Pretty Princesses as the intellectual elite, the Bratz dolls as the Thugnificent Posse, and the Monster High dolls as your nerds and geeks that walk among us. The year is 1995. It's a year that's pretty insignificant for most people, and up to a certain point, I would say it went for me that way too. I would graduate from high school a year later, and I was generally up to no good, hanging with the wrong people and trying to live my life as a true 90s kid, being a rebel without a clue. It was a year I was hoping to find out who I was and where I fit in. The way I saw it, I had two choices. Grow up thug, or grow up alternative coffee shop intellect. See, I hung out with two very distinct polar opposites. As I lived in public housing, my neighborhood was a cliché of hood activity. We had our gangs, our fights, our shootings, our occasional cats strapped to fireworks and tossed on the roof of second-story buildings. But since I also liked to read and had a taste for music outside of your average gangster rap and hip-hop bubble, I also found solace with a circle of friends that would hang out at a local 24-hour Denny's-like diner, discussing the disparities of the social and economic classes. Why everyone should read Jack Kerouac and William Burroughs, watch movies by Gus Van Sant and David Lynch, and listen to independent radio. If you've ever seen the movies Boys in the Hood and Reality Bites, I lived my life in the shadows between the two, never really feeling I belonged in either. Then, in the fall of 1995, a new option presented itself. I was 17, bored, and skimming the cable channels, and randomly came across some music that caught up my ears. I quickly scanned back and came across a trailer for a new movie that hit my eyes like I'd just downed a handful of caffeine pills. All the colors, the sounds, the incredible soundtrack, it drew me in and held me captivated. I knew the movie Hackers was a must-see for me, and the phrase "hack the planet" would be ever seared in my brain. The name itself was enough to get my mind going with thoughts of digital underground movement. I started to feel like I was no longer destined to choose either world I currently occupied on a ho-hum halftime basis, but that maybe, just maybe, there was something out there for me that I could pick up and ride into a future filled with awesome. Then, as I sat in those unbelievably uncomfortable seats at the local matinee, I filled my ears with names like Zero Cool, Crash Override, Acid Burn, and Serial Killer. I watched a world unfold in front of me, filled with amazing computer screens and astonishing music. I realized I was envious. I had just about every game console since the Atari, but the closest I had ever gotten to a computer was the data processing class that they make you take in high school. I wanted to be them. I was young. I was hip. I could do what they were doing. For a moment, I forgot that I was in a movie, and that what they did with those machines wasn't even remotely possible. I had it in my head, too, that I was going to be a hacker, and this was the life I was going to live. 2 years and $2,000 later, I bought my first computer. This was when I learned that there was no way a bunch of unemployed street kids could afford the type of equipment that I had wanted but couldn't even come close to affording. But never mind that. I finally got my machine, and now a machine of my very own, and now it was time to unleash my mighty skill. Where was that power button again? Needless to say, I didn't have that magical talent that my heroes with the cool screen handles had. They made it seem so easy. I watched as more movies followed. The Matrix, Swordfish. They taunted me with that infamous street underground world that I longed to be a part of. I couldn't go back now. I listened to techno, down Mountain Dew by the gallons, lived off of sushi, and I stayed up on days on end, dividing my time between hard-to-find anime, video games, and multiple chat rooms. I had a new identity, and I knew I was on the right path. Since I didn't have the slightest idea what I was doing, I decided to pursue a degree in computer science. I was determined to know all there was about my new BFF computer, and there was nothing that was going to stop me. Something stopped me. There's a saying, life happens when you're busy making other plans. It seems like at the time I just didn't have whatever it was I needed to jump the hurdles that got in my way. Even so, over the years, I continued to learn through self-taught experience, my love for technology never dampening. And when an opportunity to pursue a degree in another area close to my heart presented itself, I was refilled with new fanciful ambitions. I have 2 desktops, 3 laptops, and 2 tablets, plus the random smartphone here and there. I can't get enough of technology and visions of digital futures. As I reach out for my degree in mobile development, I can't help but think back on that one day a lost girl was flipping through the channels and new music took her to a happy place. Would I have found my way here anyways? Maybe, but I can't imagine it would have been filled with as many ambitious world-dominating fantasies. And really, where's the fun is that?